At this time, I would like to ask our panelists for our Young Professionals discussion, along with Kathy Northington, MEC's Chief Operating Officer, to join us on stage. Y'all, while they're coming up, I want to kind of tell you what's happening. In the coming months, you're going to be hearing more and more about a research project that's currently underway to explore ways we grow opportunities for retaining and attracting young professionals here in Mississippi. The Mississippi Talent Initiative will collect quantitative and qualitative data that will serve as a catalyst for developing solutions to address the demand and supply issues that we face in terms of job needs and talent needs for young professionals. It will also help businesses better understand what young professionals see as critical issues on choosing where to live and to work. This research is being done in conjunction with our 4 research universities and other state agencies, but it's already begun. During the MEC tour, which is sponsored by Blue Cross and Blue Shield, we were able to conduct a series of listening sessions with young professionals. Kathy facilitated the majority of those, and I'm going to ask her to talk a little bit about this and then introduce our panel. Kathy?
I know you guys thought I was going to dance after Andy sang, but I'm not going to do it. If you guys didn't know that song, Anywhere But Here, and if you've never heard of it before, the words are a little like, so I'll read a few of the lyrics. Come with me, I found a movement. As we clap our hands along with the drums, syncing to a pattern, we're all part of one. Many memories make a story, come and make another one with me. With me, roll with me. As MEC rolls out this new strategic plan, we want you guys to join us with the movement of checking the pulse of Mississippians. And we're going to start by checking the pulse of these young professionals behind me, listening to what they have to say to help move this state forward and helping us take the next step to including our young professionals and all Mississippians. Take it away, Bryce.
Test. There we are. Thank you, Kathy, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I've got my Mike Leach cheat sheet here to moderate this panel where we have 4 dynamic young professionals from around the state of Mississippi. I participated in one of these sessions in Jackson earlier this year. Some great ideas came out of it, and I hope you'll listen and just kind of think in your mind about Mississippi, about your home. What is the best, the greatest, the brightest spots? And also, what can we do to bring a better next level to Mississippi? The first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to let each of our panelists introduce themselves. So what I'd like you to do is tell us your name, tell us the company that you're with, as well as tell us a little bit about your Mississippi history, as in how long have you lived here and where in the state you are located. So we're going to start right here with our first panelist.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope everybody can hear me. My name is Alan Kerr. I am the Vice President of the Oxford-Lafayette County Economic Development Foundation. We are located within the Chamber of Commerce in Oxford, Mississippi. I also serve as a business counselor for the Small Business Development Center and serve on a number of different boards, everything from the Boy Scouts North Chickasha District. I serve as a founding member of the Tennessee Valley Authority Young Talent Cabinet, which is a practitioner training group for economic developers. And I also serve as a president of the local Oxford Lafayette County Young Professionals Organization. And so I've been in Mississippi for pretty much my whole life, born in Jackson, moved around a short time whenever I was a kid, and really settled in Oxford back in 2000. Oxford Charger, Ole Miss Rebel, graduated with a degree in public policy leadership in 2014, and now I've been working in the Economic Development Foundation for 8.5 years. So happy to be here, happy to lend my, my comments to today's panel.
Fantastic.
Good morning. I'm Ruthie Massey. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Mississippi Museum of Art. my family has been in Jackson since 2013. My husband and I met at Millsaps College, and we graduated in 2007 and decided to move to Jackson and make it our home. And we have really enjoyed living here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Hartley. I am the East Jackson County Market President for Cadence Bank. I'm really excited to be here. I got to Mississippi by way of Keesler Air Force Base. I was born in Germany, and my parents got orders there. And I like to tell everyone that the 3 best things in my life have happened in Mississippi. So I graduated college. I went to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. I also went to William Carey University. I began my career in banking and finance, but most importantly, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior here. So those are the 3 most important things, and I'm so glad to be asked to be on the panel today. I love Mississippi, and I'm excited for these remarks.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Tremaine Davis, and I work at C-Spire. I'm the sales engineering manager for C-Spire Business. That's basically technical pre-sales for any business solution that you can sell to a customer. I'm originally from Corinth, Mississippi, and I matriculated down to Jackson and graduated from Jackson State University with a degree in computer science. So basically my career started in IT, and I've transitioned into the telecom space. So I'm very happy to be here and share my thoughts on all these topics today.
Fantastic. And I did not introduce myself fully, but my name is Bryce Yelverton. I am a native and have always lived in Clinton, Mississippi. As always, go Arrows. We are a phenomenal school district and a phenomenal little city. I went to Mississippi College. I have a master's from Mississippi State, and I have been an educator, taught for 7 years in the public education system here in Mississippi. I taught math. And then I moved in to working with the legislature. I'm a government relations consultant. Some would say that I still work with kids, they just wear suits. But we'll hear from more of our politicians later. Let's get back to talking about Mississippi. What I will say is throughout the state, MEC has conducted these conversations with young professionals because the hot topic is how do we keep our young people in the state. Not only do we keep them here, but we get them invested into the community. And sometimes these sessions can feel like, well, let's just say what Mississippi is not. Let's talk about the bad things. But that's not what we're gonna do today. We're gonna talk about the greatest things. And we're gonna start off with what I think is a really interesting question. And I have my answer, I'm gonna wait for it. But the question is, and you think about this at your seat, what is Mississippi's greatest asset? If you thought about it, what is the greatest asset that Mississippi has to offer? And we're gonna start, I'm gonna put you on the spot. We'll start with Tremaine down at the end.
All right, great. That's a wonderful topic. And first off, I believe it starts with people and family, and as well as the cost of living here in Mississippi. The cost of living is very reasonable here. You can really start a family and raise a family actually here in Mississippi without any issues. And also, like I said, the family dynamic of that. I actually have 3 children. I have 4 on the way. Mississippi is opportune to raise a family with any particular type of school system that you want to be involved in. Any parts of the state, northern Mississippi, the middle parts of Mississippi, and also as well as the coast. So I really think family and people is one of the biggest dynamics and one of the greatest assets that Mississippi offers.
That's a great point, Tremaine. And, from family, my family is so important to me. But one thing I was thinking about with this question was how diverse Mississippi is. There are so many things that you can do in the state of Mississippi. And I mean, when you think about, we have shipbuilding and Stennis Space Center on the coast. And then we heard Ag Commissioner and talking about all of the farming and the industries. And there are so many opportunities. We've got great schools here for higher learning. If you want to be an educator, if you want to be an attorney, if you want to get in public policy, I think that truly is the greatest asset that we have, is that there's such a diverse opportunity for our young people to come here and make a really good living, to your point, and with the cost of living the way it is as well, to raise a family. It's a great place to live.
I totally agree with what y'all have both commented on. I think Mississippians themselves are extremely welcoming, and so it is really easy to build a community here. It has been for my family, but I work at an art museum, so I'm also going to say the creative economy here, between the culinary arts, the visual arts, dance, theater, authors with the book festival. There is just a lot to offer as far as getting involved or enjoying some of those different types of arts. And what we learned during the pandemic, I think what we all learned, is that that's really one thing that really connects us all and brings joy and is a way for us to learn about each other, see different perspectives. And, you know, it was working at the art museum during the pandemic, when we reopened safely, that year was our highest attendance in years and years. So that really kind of proved there that that the arts that the state has to offer and that connection with the arts in the community is so important.
Well, there's a number of different ways in which we can go with this. I'm from Oxford, Mississippi, so obviously I would like to say culinary. You know, like there's some great food out here in the state. Then I thought about, then there's people. Think about the amazing stories and successes that have come out of this state, from amazing athletes to authors to culinary artists, James Beard award-winning chefs, all of that. But you heard multiple folks on the stage already say the word opportunity. I'm an economic developer. I'm here to not just attract new industry into the state, but also to help entrepreneurs find their new, how to create their ideas. How do we interconnect small business with this new age 21st economy? And I see so much opportunity as an economic developer in this state, and this is your greatest asset because we have the opportunity to connect our technologists with our agricultural groups. We have so much opportunity to create IP and get it interconnected with entrepreneurs who want to commercialize it. There's so much opportunity out there with our local businesses just by simply connecting with the youth, and because maybe some of them haven't been invited, but there's incredible innovators, there's incredible educators who are out there who are ready and waiting for that invitation. And so I'd say our greatest opportunity is, or our greatest asset is our opportunity, and this state is, bountiful with it.
Those are fantastic answers, and I appreciate all the great perspectives. And I will say, when you mentioned culinary, when I asked my wife that question, that was the first thing she said was the food, Mississippi. And I'm surprised when you're talking about Oxford, you didn't say the gas station chicken. But I'll say we're going to get to that fried chicken very soon, though. With that, let's think about those things. We have the opportunities in Mississippi. We have the creativity in Mississippi. And I will reiterate to something that the governor said earlier. We just got to get the people here. When we get the people here, our people do the rest. Because that is my answer. It was kind of what Tremaine started with, is that the greatest asset in Mississippi is everyone here in this room, everyone here that is watching, everyone that is surrounding us. It is the people of Mississippi. That is our greatest asset, in my opinion. Because when we get people, we have people that come from all over the country to Mississippi to come meet with our legislators or come and have a conference or be a vendor at an event. And it's always the same story. And y'all might think about this. When you have someone from out of state, it's always the same story. Wow, people are so nice here. Wow, I didn't know you had this here. Wow, this is the best steak I've ever had. I mean, all of those things are things that I'm sure you can relate to. And I'm sure that many of you have heard those same comments. So that's great. The greatest asset of Mississippi. Now we're going to change the tune just a slight bit. What we always are looking at when we're talking about retention is, why are all these people leaving? Why can't we get people to stay? So instead of saying, okay, well, what's wrong here? Let's look at it a different way. So a lot of people that I have talked to that have moved, they've moved to places like Atlanta, Nashville, Birmingham, or they've moved to Dallas, Memphis, New Orleans. What do you guys think is the main thing that is drawing them to those locations? What do those locations offer to young professionals and families that are drawing them there? So think about that question. What is drawing people to these other cities? We're going to start this time with Christian.
It's interesting because I've traveled a lot, for work, and I was in New York City yesterday, and I think what might initially draw is the big city and the bustle and the hustle. I tell you what, I couldn't wait to get back. I couldn't wait to get on the flight back to Mississippi. I was just like, man, I just love it here. But I want to say that people might look at the opportunity. They look at the big city and there's opportunities. And I think that as leaders, that we need to do a really good job of talking about the runway that you have here in Mississippi. We need to talk about, I'm thinking of someone from a shipbuilder, and she talks about, we want to grow our own. Right? We want to give people that opportunity. When we talk about talent development and retention, young people have to understand that there's a place and a space for you. Loyalty can only go a certain length of time before that goes away, but you really want an opportunity to know that you can grow with a company. And there's a lot of people in those other companies who are telling you in these bigger cities, this is all of the opportunities that you have. These are all of the things that you can do. And I just believe that Mississippi leaders, that we business owners, we need to do a really good job at telling that story, that there is so much runway for you, there's so much opportunity for you, and we want you to stay here.
Ruthie, go ahead.
So we have actually lost some of our younger employees to Dallas. I grew up in Dallas, and I like it fine, but I was like, why? 3 people have moved to Dallas. Like, why? And I think it is kind of a stage of life where you want to have new experiences, and a big city has more walkable places and attractions. But I'm kind of the same way. The reason that I love Jackson so much is because if I want to go to the Science Museum, or the Agriculture Museum, it is a 2-minute drive. It is not a day trip like it is in Dallas. I don't have to get on any freeways. And I'm going to run into at least 1 or 2 people that I know there. And so it will be family and friends to have fun with my own kids when I take them places. So that to me is one of the biggest attractions. I also wonder about just large cities, the commute, and the time, and especially family time and friend time, and living in Jackson, 10-minute commute to downtown Jackson, and that's just time that I would not get back with my kids. So, I understand people wanting to go have those big city experiences. We're just hoping that we can draw them back when they're ready to kind of settle down and come back home.
It's a tough question because I think it depends upon every individual and what their upbringing is and what their motivations are. Certainly opportunity is the number one attractor for them. They may feel like they don't have an opportunity here. Maybe they're not aware of the opportunities around here. I mean, I talk to so many people who are students who say, I don't think that there's an opportunity for me in Mississippi, but then we start saying, well, here's FNC, here's Next Gear Solutions, here's Ingalls, here's so many opportunities here in the state. And they say, oh, well, I didn't know that was here. So we have to do a better job of going into our university systems, into our community colleges, and being able to tell them what jobs are available in Mississippi. Again, I keep on coming up from an economic development perspective in that there's requirements to living in a location, and then there's differentiating factors that play into moving into a location. So, for example, in economic development, you have to have a site, right? So if you're a young professional, you have to have affordable housing. You have to have a career. You have to have good utilities, including high-speed internet. That is now a requirement for attracting young people into a state. Of course, with our broadband expansion, with our utilities, we've done a really, really good job of that in the state in combating that issue. But now you start turning to the differentiating factors. Okay, so what are we doing about remote worker programs? How are we able to attract those folks back to the state who might have jobs in California? They want to leave a high tax environment, leave property taxes that are costing more than a house here, and they see that we can, have an opportunity in Mississippi from a remote working standpoint. You start looking at the quality of life. I love the outdoors. I'm a Boy Scout. I love hunting, or not hunting necessarily, but if anybody knows me, but I love fishing. I love golf. I love hiking, all of that stuff. But that's not necessarily the case for a lot of individuals. They want to have that big city feel. They want to have the nightlife and the athletic events that they can go to. And I think we're getting there. We have the Biloxi Shuckers on, South Mississippi. We have the Ole Miss Rebels in the north, and Mississippi State. Game day's coming to Jackson this week. That's an incredible opportunity for this state to really show off the opportunities that are in this community. And so really good things are happening, and I think that that's a way that we can attract them back. So number one is opportunity and awareness, and number two, showing off the amazing assets that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, basically everything that everybody said, I agree with all of that. Just this weekend, I was in Denver, Colorado, walking downtown. You see the nice shiny lights, and you see all the people walking up and down the street. I think a lot of times, that's basically something that attracts a lot of people, right? And then also you have your big name companies, in these larger cities, and especially Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama is really a growing tech-enabled city. And Mississippi and certain parts of Mississippi, we have to follow some of those same trends. We need to get tech-enabled businesses, tech-enabled opportunities in the state, more jobs, more opportunities for college students that are graduating. And these career fairs here in Mississippi, we need to show these students the type of jobs that we can offer, the type of competitive salaries that we can offer as well. And also, just like you said, the remote work. We got to be able to adjust with times. We got to be able to provide the structure for our people to be successful.
Those are fantastic answers, and I would like everyone to think about the focus of those answers. The focus of the answers were, I went to a place and it was nice, but it was not home.
Right.
And y'all tell me if this is true. Every Mississippian's favorite thing to do when you leave the state is to look for other Mississippians.
Right.
Am I wrong? I mean, that's my favorite thing to do. When people hear my accent when I'm out of state, they will say, where are you from? And I'll say, I'm Mississippi. They say, oh, I'm from Kosciuszko. And I say, oh, do you know so-and-so? Because, I have a cousin that's friends with them. You probably know them. And, it is never ending how many people I run into that have some kind of positive, happy memory of Mississippi. And I think it comes down to our natural just thoughts of, I want to be home. So I'm always looking for home. And Mississippi provides that for us. When they're talking about the opportunities and the bright lights in the cities and walkable activities, I'm thinking about Jackson. I'm thinking about our museums. We have the wonderful Mississippi Museum of Art, the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum, the Mississippi History Museum. We have the Children's Museum, the Ag Museum, and the Natural Science Museum, boom, 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 right all together. And I've taken my kids there many times, and they love it. They love being there. That's just as good of an experience that you're going to get anywhere around the country. But a lot of times people just do not take the step outside of their homes to see those things. But we have all those opportunities here. Look at the great things that are being done in our city. I mean, it's phenomenal that game day is coming here this Saturday. It's just phenomenal. I think it's the second time in 29 years that they have traveled to an HBCU university. And so what a phenomenal opportunity to showcase our state. And I hope they do. One thing that I know about Mississippians is that sometimes we like to sit back and we don't like to, we tell the story, but we can't tell it the true, this is really us. But I tell you what, our history museums do. They sit there and they tell the true story, and then we sit there and we say, come and join us. Come and see us. All we have to do is get the people here. And once we get them here, we got to retain them. So I think this is the most important and kind of something that we can take back with us to our companies. A lot of us here are working with Mississippi-based companies. A lot of us here are working with companies that are all over the nation, but we have, offices here in our state. What is something that we can offer our students that are just getting out of college, our interns, someone who has just gotten out of a program, they have a certificate, they're coming to join a new Mississippi company or a company that's been here for years. What can we do? What incentive can we get? I love how the state auditors just said their internship program. What a phenomenal idea. And it's solved their hiring issue. I mean, that's phenomenal. what is something that we could offer as an incentive to a job that would be attractive, that someone would stay in for the long haul? We're not talking about I'm here for 2 years and then I'm going to move up to something bigger. I'm talking about how can we give this incentive and it keeps them to stay. It lets them stay. I'm going to start this time. Who did I start with last time, Kristen? I'm going to start with Ruthie this time. So go ahead.
So I have it's a twofold answer. One thing that my organization is doing is that we are working with high school students, and we're also working with college students at Tougaloo, Jackson State, Belhaven, and Millsaps, and we are creating paid opportunities. And these are students that don't have an art background, never thought about working in a museum or a cultural institution, who we're seeing in the colleges are switching majors and are getting experience working at the museum. And then we also have paid post-baccalaureate fellowships for people out of college to come and learn about working at a museum. And so we are really trying to create a job market for museum professionals from high school and colleges here that will stay and work in the great museums that we have in this state. The other thing that we do is we do have a number of employees who we have gotten to move from out of state and come to Jackson and make Mississippi their home. And one of the things that we do is just the hospitality. We go above and beyond. When they come to town, they're going to get a welcome basket in their hotel room. They're going to be invited to one of my colleagues' homes for a home-cooked meal. They're going to be taken to a number of restaurants, driven around the city, just to show the experience of what living in Jackson and living in Mississippi is like. And that experience alone has had people move from as far away as New York, Michigan, Houston, and have now built their lives here in Mississippi.
Well, can I say pay? I mean, because that is certainly a part of it. And I was looking at some data from the Federal Reserve a while ago, and they were talking about one of the biggest incentives to get people back to work, and they were talking about bonuses. And that was in the Southeast. And so I hate to lead in with that, but that is a certain part of it. We also have to realize that we're not just competitive regionally or within our industries anymore, but with remote working, we are now competing globally whenever it comes to pay and benefits and incentives and all of that. So we have to recognize that our competition is pretty high, higher than it's ever been right now. The other part of it, and I think that this is a lower cost and very easily attainable option, is interconnectivity between our HR departments of our corporate groups and our chambers of commerce, and specifically their young practitioner networks and their young professional networks. You're going to spend most of your time outside of work in Mississippi, and so if you don't have a life, or you don't feel like you have a dating pool, if you don't feel like you'll have a group of friends that you can connect with, then you're going to start looking at other opportunities. And so I see awesome opportunities in this state for us to simply have welcome packets. Welcome to the community. Here's the networks that you can be a part of. Here are the churches that you can go and join. Here are the different things you can get involved in from a civic perspective in the community. And so having that welcoming aspect is not just important to come from a corporate side, but it's incredibly important to come from the local side as well. So interconnecting this state, I look around, we're 3 million people in this state. That's about the size of the greater metro area of Tampa Bay. And so we have the ability to interconnect and have these relationships. We just have to capitalize on that opportunity.
Yeah, great everything you said there. And I think another avenue would be career growth for these corporations and these jobs to show candidates career growth. Okay, once I come on board in 2 to 3 years, what is the next elevation that I can get to? How much money can I make, right? We got to be competitive when it comes to salary. Dealing with remote jobs, with people working for, nationwide companies, making salaries that are in those states. So we got to be mindful of that and be able to, and got to be mindful of that and be able to match those salaries and be able to recruit that talent and like I said, show the career paths, show the career growth, and also tech-enabled certifications, right? I think that's another avenue that we can tackle, but not just tech-enabled certifications, but basically any type of certifications that jobs can enforce on people and allow people to do and grow their careers.
So we talked about pay. We talked about, young professionals groups, mentoring, developing. In my prior role, I was at a credit union for 18 years. And I remember I was right out of high school, and when I was being interviewed for that role, the HR recruiter told me, "We love to promote from within." We love to promote from within. And that stuck with me as someone who had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. And low-key didn't like numbers, so make that make sense, right? But by the grace of God, I was able to do that. So from a teller to a loan officer to an assistant manager, branch manager, dual branch manager, et cetera. And when I got tapped on the shoulder for Cadence Bank, that was one thing that they told me. They said, we want to develop you. We see a runway with you. Career development is so vitally important, and mentorship. We're a young professionals panel, and I'm so thankful to MEC for inviting us to sit on this panel to talk about this. But the truth of the matter is, as the next generation of leaders of Mississippi, we want to learn from our older, wiser leaders. We don't want to take your job right this moment, but we just want to be prepared for when that time comes, right? So I think it's so important. I used to tell my team in my previous role, look, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I want someone to be prepared to sit in my chair, right? And so I think that is so important, and it really does speak to the long-term sustainability when you're thinking about how do we want our state to look moving forward, how do we want our businesses to look moving forward, our government, our policy, how do we want that to look moving forward? The secret is develop somebody else. That's the secret.
Great, phenomenal. And as one thing that wasn't mentioned that I wanted to say as well, an incentive for people with families. I have 4 kids. Flexibility. What we learned in COVID is that we don't necessarily all have to be in our desks from 9 to 5 for us to get the job done. Offering flexibility with the ability to telework, with the ability to kind of set your own schedule, set your own pace, truly gives these families, especially those with young children, an option that they can explore. But we heard from great things. I mean, you can kind of feel from the panel here all the different types of answers and from all over the state that are there for the taking. And I agree. The opportunity in Mississippi is we're always ready. We're always ready to go forward, to move to the next level. So why aren't we doing it? Let's do it. We're already doing it in so many different ways. In our education system, with our transportation connectivity, with our broadband initiatives. There are so many things that are working positively for Mississippi. Let's continue on with that. I think I've almost caught us back up on our schedule. So what I'd like to do is just, if you all could just give our panelists a great round of applause for being here this morning. We thank you so much for listening to us. Please take the opportunity to speak to these 4 young professionals as you're around, and thank you for listening to me through this. And I'm going to turn it back over to Kathy and Scott, but thank you again, and everyone have a great rest of your time here.